Show.
Lonely winter, little darling, it feels like years.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Daly Show. And of course, taking a little diversion today from the headlines. And as you can guess, the headlines, it's funny that they have this big Ukrainian move right now on Russia, because why didn't they do that long ago? Everything about the entire Ukrainian Russian thing, I doubt, and everything. And when he was over here taking all of his photos and in his camo shirt every single time and pandering for money. And then we have deep state governors like my own in Utah that will do anything he says and pander to him. And it looks like he's just drooling all over him. Little pint-sized puppetry, Zelensky. And I wouldn't trust one single thing that comes out of that news. I truly would not. And always doubt it, always. And then today they're also trying to sell that Nancy Pelosi is sad because she pushed Biden out, and she was one that helped Obama push Biden out. Don't believe it for a second. It was planned from the beginning. They wanted to do it. And now they have to put out some story to make it look like it was a last minute decision and Nancy did it. Nancy's pathetic. Ugh. But I just want to say, so many lies in the press right now, so many cover-ups, and you can't trust Washington Post or New York Times or any of the big papers in your state at all anymore, especially foreign news. Melissa's back here with me, Midwest Melissa. And by the way, go to thenewamerican.com. They'll actually tell you the truth. Thenewamerican.com. I love them. All right, Melissa. So a couple of more signs from nature. I think this is intriguing to me. It's a nice break from politics.
It is. And not only that, when you leave the studio today, Kate, you're going to walk outside and you're going to look around and go, oh, look at that tree over there. I never noticed that it's pointing south.
Right.
Or you're going to look at the clouds differently. You're going to look at your landscape differently. And I know that will happen because it's happened to me.
Yeah.
I've looked around and I'm looking at lichens growing on tree trunks going, oh, would you look at that? It's true. Well, let's talk about how wind shapes the landscape and how you can tell a direction from wind even. Because we know that we live in the Northern Hemisphere, and in North America, the prevailing winds come from the west. And there's the wind at the ground level, and then there's the prevailing wind that's high aloft. The wind at ground level can come from any direction. And that's especially true. I took some sailing lessons years ago, and the guy said sailing in the Midwest is horrible because wind can come at any moment from any direction. But the prevailing wind, and you have to look for patterns in nature and asymmetries. So if you see cornfield, you can look for which way the leaves are bent. It will point you towards the east, because the wind prevailing most of the time is going to come out of the west.
Right.
So the leaves will point and bend. Same with trees. Trees, unless they're very sheltered, will point, because they're constantly getting wind from the west. That means the east side of them will look different than the west side. And yet again, it's like the moon. You can't just look once at a tree and tell that. You kind of have to walk around it and look at it and think about it. And which direction are the branches pointing? Which direction are the leaves bending to know? It's fascinating. But it's a slower, it's not like looking at your phone where you have instant, immediate information. You have to pay attention to where you are, but it's a different kind of attention. But it's a very valuable one.
Yeah.
I found this to be fascinating too. He said that Polynesians that go for long periods of time over the ocean also learned they can read. Now, don't ask me to explain this in much detail, but they can read the waves and know where land is, and by the shape of the waves.
Oh,
and they believe this was another thing that was I found to be astonishingly fascinating. Migratory patterns of people, even across oceans, tend to follow the migratory patterns of birds.
Oh, weird. I didn't even think of that. Huh.
So
Okay.
If you think about where the flyways are, or even ocean birds, where do ocean birds go?
Mm-hmm.
You will have a better understanding of how Vikings might have navigated, or how Polynesians might have navigated, where they were far at sea
Mm-hmm.
and still knew where they were.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I found that to be absolutely crazy interesting.
It's like go where the bees are and you'll find water. Same kind of thing.
That's true. And the other thing, you can also follow water by knowing a couple of trees
Mm-hmm.
and how to. This is easy in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow a creek bed by looking for the tree line.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Because,
that's fascinating.
and I'm guessing that's probably true in the West as well, because where there's water, those are the places where the trees and the
Mm-hmm.
reeds and things can grow.
We had a water dowser on the show, and he had a perfect record of getting water, and has found very big wells. And it's so amazing to me. All of these things are so lost to us now. And he was in his 90s. He's in his 90s. He's still alive. He's in his 90s. But water dousing, huge way to find water wherever you are. So whenever they say drought, we are never in a drought. You can always water douse to find water right under our feet. And I know that people that love to claim drought don't want to look at water dousing at all. I mean, it's just amazing all of these techniques you can use to find things in nature.
It's something, I'm come from a history background, and I'm kind of a history wonk.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think often about what were people in the ancient world thinking about, what were they doing, how did they do it? And these are some of the ways they did it. They were tuned into different things than we are.
Right.
And one of the last chapters he has in his book is, don't be discouraged. You can even apply these rules in the city. He said, so in his chapter about understanding animal behavior, if you're in the city and you want to find where the subway station is, he said, in the morning, go against the flow of traffic on the sidewalk, because those are people getting out of the subway and going to work. So you will find the station they just came from by walking against the current. He said, at the end of the day, walk with the current, because all those people are going to be going back to the subway to get in.
Interesting.
And I was like,
yeah.
If you're in the city and you need to know where north is, start looking for satellite dishes on top of buildings, because they orient satellite dishes towards where the satellites are. So if you know where I'm trying to think, ours, we had to orient our satellite dish to the southeast here.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you know that, you can drive through a neighborhood and say, oh, I know where south is now. I can figure out. My husband has done that on many occasions.
I love all of this kind of stuff. I really do. I hope everybody passes this along to grandkids and kids, and it's a lot more interesting than what they're going to find on the next video reel at Insta. So I
make every walk a detective story.
Right. I like that. Okay. I love it. Thank you, Midwest Melissa. Appreciate you, Melissa Smith. And thank you. Every Wednesday, Susan and Melissa join me. And then, of course, tomorrow I have Chris Ann Hall. The next day, I've got John Schneider, the actor, and also Michael Yon talking about foreign affairs. Be faithful, be fearless. See ya tomorrow.
Everything's a little better when it's super. Heroes, markets, sized, and